Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this meeting this morning on behalf of the County Commissioners. I call the meeting to order. Let's have our roll call, please. At this time, we will stand and have our invocation and pledge.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you this morning for your many blessings upon us. We thank you for this beautiful day you've given us to serve you in. We pray, Father, that in each and everything we do this day, we will honor you and serve you. We thank you, Father, for those who are here with us in our meeting. We pray that you might be with each one of them and bless each one of them. Be with us as a board, Father, as we deliberate the various issues of our county. We pray that you might guide and direct us and help us to make those decisions that are best for our citizens and those decisions that would glorify you. These blessings we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's been a request to excuse Mr. Hammond. Unless there's an objection, it is so done. All right, Mr. Manager. I believe next, though, we got the approval. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Motion for approval. Second.
All right.
If you'll do that by hand, please. Thank you. Got it.
Got it now?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have to correct. Fix yours.
I believe you are Florida, or everybody ready for the next one?
Yes, sir. The first item will be the Employee Service Awards, and this is actually on page 58 of your agenda package. We flip this to the top so we could recognize the employees first, then do the business of the county otherwise after that. So, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready, we can go down front. Today, as we do on a quarterly basis, we would like to recognize the workforce, or a portion of the workforce of Pitt County government. And on a quarterly basis, we do recognize employees who have earned or have achieved the working of a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Today we have a 30-year employee. Sometimes we have a 35-year employee. We'd like to recognize on the 20-year, the silver box with the blue bow on it is a watch that Pitt County provides or gifts to the employee at the 20-year mark in their career. And I think that's a special time for the employees to be able to pick their watch out. So we will start with the 5-year category, and if you would, just hold your applause till the very end, and we'll recognize each group. So if I call your name up, if you'll come forward, please. First, we have Thomas Corprew, Detention Center. Next, we have Stephen Conner-Yor, Detention Center. William Cowley, Detention Center. Jason Cox, Detention Center. I'm not hitting very good this morning.
They at work.
Yeah, yes, sir. Charles Kraft, Detention Center. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your good work, sir.
William Early, Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, William. Appreciate it.
Pernell Elliott, Detention Center. Tyler Hassel, Sheriff's Office. Ross Krager, Detention Center. Angela Simpson, Social Services. Ronnie Steps, Detention Center.
Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate you.
Miguel Velasquez Fernandez, Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Miguel, sir.
Paulette White, Planning. Not able to be here today. In our last 5 years, to Christopher Woolard, Detention Center. Okay, recognize 10-year category, Pamela Barber, Management Information Systems, MIS.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it a lot.
Marion Booth, Cooperative Extension Service.
Thank you, Ms. Booth.
Kathy Dixon, Public Health. Nichelle Moore, Detention Center. Miter Nelson, Social Services.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson.
Joyce Owens, Social Services.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jessica Vibert, Public Health, and she couldn't make it this morning. That's our last 10 year. Okay, 15 years, we have Brenda Brooks with Social Services.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Timothy Daughtery, Sheriff's Office.
Good morning. Thank you, sir.
Teresa Fleming, Social Services. Chris McDaniel from Finance, couldn't attend this morning. Wileen Peel, Detention Center. Wileen? Wileen. Julia Seymour, Detention Center. Brandon Speller, Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Brandon. Good morning. Thanks, sir.
Kenneth Waters, Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Kate. Thanks, sir.
Okay, that's our 15-year category. Now on to our infamous 20 years and the watch. Teresa Braxton, Social Services.
Good morning. Thank you, ma'am.
Allison Canfield, Social Services.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Charles Coburn, Sheriff's Office.
She
Otherwise
always
known as
picks
Cameron
Charles.
Coburn.
Thank you, bud.
Tim Daniels, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Floyd. Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Angela Hart, Social Services.
Thank you, Angela. Look around her. She wants you to see you.
Ren Lott, Buildings and Grounds.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it, man.
And our last 20 years to Terry Williams, Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. Appreciate it, bud.
We have one 25-year employee and one 30-year employee. Our 25-year employee is Marvis Evans with Social Services.
Thank you, ma'am.
And our 30-year employee is Lester Poppy with MIS, Management Information Systems.
You have something like this for?
Yeah, reception.
All right. Before we do that, I want to thank you individually, not as a total group, but individually as you receive these awards. On behalf of the county commissioners, we are most appreciative and the staff for the years of service that you've given, and we are thankful that you're part of the unit. Now, Mr. Manager.
Yes, we have a reception for the employees and the guests in the room. If you'll enter back here, enter through the door on your left, and there's food and drink and so forth, and just make yourself at home. So thank you.
We're now back in session. I believe the first matter we have here is the public hearings. Mr. Rhodes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have 3 public hearings this morning. The first one is for a housing preservation grant. As you know, we've been kind of short on community development funds of late, and some new funds have become available from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Rural Development Agency, and we're seeking those. We just found out their availability within the last month. And this particular grant is specifically for folks that reside outside the urbanized area, a little different boundary than we're typically using with planning jurisdictions and things of that sort. So on the screen, you can see what the Census Bureau designates as a urbanized area, that being shown in the yellow. So we will not be able to serve folks in the city of Greenville, town of Winterville, or the town of Ayden. And there are some outlying areas associated with that based on census tracts. We're looking for this particular grant. It would be the first time we've applied for this one at about funding at about an $80,000 request, and we're also requesting that the match come from the county at the level of $5,000. This $5,000 match really assists us in getting more points for our grant application through USDA. So today, Mr. Chairman, we're asking to hold a public hearing. The application is due next week, and the funds should be available in the fall if we do get a favorable review of the application. We are requesting again for the recommendation after the public hearing, appropriate $5,000 in undesignated match funds and allowing staff to prepare and submit the grant application next week. With that, we're
Thank you,
ready
Mr.
for the public
Rhodes.
hearing.
Having heard that, I declare the public hearing open. Are there any pros or cons to this matter?
Mr. Chairman, there's nobody signed up to speak on this matter.
All right, sir. Having none, or is there anyone that now would like to speak? If not, then I declare the public hearing closed. What's the pleasure of the board? Ms. Ward?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation to submit this grant application.
Second.
All right. That includes the 5,000?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Johnson?
I just want to know where that 5,000 is coming from.
We have that set aside in grant match. There's funds available.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a wise move because as you repair these homes and so forth, that means your tax value goes up, and that means we get more ad valorem taxes from them. So certainly it's a win-win situation for us.
Any
Chairman.
further comments?
I have a question about, it says 2 houses. How do you select the 2 houses? Respectfully, I disagree with you, Mr. James, because you'll never
Good.
get the money back out of 2 houses. There are probably hundreds of houses. There may even be thousands of houses.
Commissioner Colson, we have a selection process. Each year we have a process by which we invite folks out to our information session. And these are people that call in during the year. We have an annual session. We bring them in, explain our various programs. They fill out an application. We screen their information, we take a visit to their homes, we try to match them up with the most appropriate grant program that we have. So we've got folks on the waiting list right now that more than likely are going to meet the requirements of this particular program. And that's what we're trying to do, is move people off the waiting list. And I'm sure we'll get probably 24 more folks on the waiting list this year after our information session next month. So it is a process.
What time did you finish?
I think it's a waste of money,
All right. Now you finished, Tom?
yes.
Mr. James and then Ms. Ward.
Mr. Chairman, we have a lot of poor people in Pitt County. Their living conditions is terrible. Whenever we can help them improve that, we're doing good service for the citizens. And only $5,000, well, I understand where you're coming from there, but it still ups our tax and ad valorem taxes. It still helps us. But the most important thing is we're upping the standard of living for the citizens of Pitt County. That's all I have to say now.
Ms. Ward.
I was going to say something similar. I'm not nearly as concerned about the taxes we'll get back, but if you've ever been to one of the, they're not groundbreakings, they're not ribbon cuttings, but seeing these homes that have been refurbished, and we got a lot of help from a lot of people that don't require any money in refurbishing these homes, and 1 or 2 a year is a step forward instead of a step backward. So I'm totally in favor of this.
If there's no further discussion, we'll vote. Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Okay.
Next up, Mr. Chairman, we have 2 rezonings, and these are paired together, and I'll go ahead and mention up front, we're requesting that we defer action on the first until we hold both public hearings for the 2 rezonings that are under consideration. The first is with Judson Whitehurst. Again, both of these are with Judson Whitehurst being the petitioner. We, as I've mentioned, want to defer action till after both public hearings are held. Just to give you an idea of the property we're dealing with, these are the 2 subject properties on the screen right now. The first property, number 1, is, of course,
Where you say
aligned
it
with.
is, James?
Excuse me?
You say it was on the screen?
It's on the screen now.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry about that. The number 1 cited property on the screen aligns with rezoning number 1. And this is property that's already rezoned or is already zoned as general industrial. The request is to downzone that. When we talk about downzone, going to a lesser intensity down to RA, rural agricultural, which would not allow some of these heavy industrial type uses there. Conversely, number 2 on the west side is property that's aligned with rezoning number 2. This is an upzone where we're going from rural agricultural to a request of general industrial. Very comparable in size. The number one over here is about 200 acres. Number 2, about 190 acres. So that's kind of set the stage. So on to rezoning number 1. This includes includes 3 parcels. This is located near the intersection of 264 East and Styx Road. Poor Man's Flea Market right there at the corner, generally behind it. And this, of course, is currently zoned as general industrial. Request is to downzone to rural agricultural. This particular area was zoned as such when we originally put zoning in place in 2003. And at that point, the owners of that property wanted to ensure they had adequate space to continue their industrial type land use there adjacent to this property. Just to orient you a little bit better, here's 264 East. This is Styx Road. The old railroad line that used to go through here bisects the property under consideration today. There's also a small lane called Whitehurst Lane that leads into the heart of this property, large pond in this area. This is also just a little to the east of Recycling Lane. As far as our land use plan is concerned, you can see here that this particular property is shown in the rural residential / agricultural area. So it very much aligns with the type of rezoning request that's coming in to move toward rural agricultural. And that particular area in our land use plan is intended to include low-density residential, agricultural, forestry type activities. If there are any non-residential type activities there, they would have to meet certain requirements. The existing land uses in the area, again, Poor Man's Flea Market right at the corner of Sticks Road and 264 East. This is EJE Recycling, right down Recycling Lane, and you can see there's some roads through there, some other type disposal areas within the area that's in gray, which is already zoned as general industrial as well. There's also some scattered residential along 264 and also further south on Sticks Road. This is our zoning. And you can see here the current property under request to down zone today is already general industrial. So is the general area that's currently used by EJE Recycling. And again, you can see Poor Man's Flea Market in red here, commercial, and up at the intersection of Shepherd Mill and 264 East, there's also another small commercial node. As far as the zoning districts, the rural agricultural district is intended to accommodate, again, very low density residential uses and some other accompanying type uses. And as far as the recommendation, staff believes, as did the planning board when they reviewed this request back in March, that it is appropriate to be rezoned, and in complete support of that, the planning board was unanimous in their recommendation for favorable recommendation in having this rezoning approved by the board. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we've got our recommendation in the package, and we'd request that you hold a public hearing on this one this morning.
All right, nothing having been said, I declare the public hearing open. Any pros or cons on this?
Mr. Chairman, you have one person signed up on this public hearing, James Burgess. He'll come forward, please.
How you doing, Mr. Chairman? I'm James Burgess. I'm the site surveyor, and I'm really just here to answer any questions or concerns that you may have, regarding this proposal.
All right, so thank you. Any questions from the board? If not, thank you, James.
Okay, thank you.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to postpone the rezoning of the zoning ordinance map amendment 1 and 2 until an agreement can be reached between the landowners in the area.
There being no further pros or cons on the issue that I opened the public hearing, I now close the public hearing that's requested by Mr. Rhodes. Now, Mr.
I'm
James.
sorry, Mr. Chairman, I thought that.
Yes, sir.
I move to postpone the rezoning of the zoning ordinance map amended, and that is 2 and 3, until an agreement can be reached between the landowners in the area.
All right. You've heard the motion.
Mr. Chairman, don't we
Mr.
need
Gash?
to wait until we hear the public hearing on the second item before we make that motion? Because there's a second item that we haven't opened to the public for public comment yet.
That was our recommendation,
I
Mr.
think
Chairman.
with James's request, that's correct. Will you wait a minute, Mr.
Oh,
James?
yes,
All right.
it doesn't matter. I thought you, I thought 1 and 2, 2 and 3 were together, Mr. Chairman. If one didn't pass the other one, they didn't want the other one.
All right, Mr. Rhodes, thank you, Mr. James.
All right.
Yes, sir. The second request, again, as we've talked about, this is for the upzoning of the property on the west side of the current EJE Recycling Center. It's about 190 acres on 264 East. It's a portion of two separate parcels, and again, going from what is currently zoned as rural agricultural to general industrial. Again, shown on the screen here, this property would align with property that's already zoned as general industrial for the recycling center. If you look closely on the map on the screen, you can also already see some of the disturbed area on the EJE site. This, as far as the petitioner is concerned, is a more logical expansion area for the services that he's providing in the future. So again, this is to the west of the property. The property that we considered in the rezoning number 1 is back over on this side adjacent to Sticks Road. You may recall too, and this is an important part, we always give you some justification on these rezonings as far as this alignment with the land use plan. You may recall last November that the Planning Board recommended there be a change to the land use plan and that the subject property be considered as heavy commercial and industrial. The board back in November agreed with that recommendation, so that has been changed on our land use plan map. And this is what you see on the screen now. The gray area, as far as our land use plan is concerned, is intended for heavy industrial commercial uses. You can see the dark black boundary here for the property under consideration today, which aligns with our current land use plan map. And with the heavy commercial industrial designation in the land use plan, it's intended to include heavy commercial and industrial uses, very similar to what's adjacent to the property right now. And again, for existing land use, you can see there is already within this property some use as industrial. We have a conditional use permit for a sand mine. If you look closely on the screen, there's the sand mine operation right here. The bulk of the recycling center activities are just adjacent and to the east of this property. The zoning map, as we've already discussed, again, to some extent wanting to flip-flop what's currently on this side of the recycling center lane and adjacent to Sticks Road, downzoning it and moving the general industrial zone area over to the subject property. And this particular zoning district is intended to accommodate a wide range of manufacturing, warehousing, wholesale, and related commercial and service use in these areas. And this, of course, is located on 264 East, which is a major thoroughfare. Again, with this particular one, it has been reviewed by staff and the planning board. Both groups have agreed that it is appropriate for the rezoning going from RA to GI. However, I will tell you, at the planning board meeting, it was a split vote. It was not unanimous. It was 5-3. The staff recommendation and from the planning board is for approval of these rezonings and also to advise that it is reasonable and within the public interest. And with that, Mr. Chairman, we're ready for the second public hearing.
All right. Having heard Mr. Rhodes' presentation, I now declare the public hearing open. Are there any pros or cons on this issue? If so, do you have any, Mr.?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have 2 people signed up. David Davenport, if you come forward, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
My name is David Davenport. I'm from Pactolus. My family owns the farmland and woods land directly south of the subject property. I'm here today to stand opposed to this proposed amendment simply because we have not seen or heard a plan or purpose for the change in rezoning this property. If the owners are requesting this change in order to facilitate some transition in the future, then it is our hope that we'd like to see the county address this rezoning at that future time, and to be careful not to change it now without knowing what direction we're heading towards. My family and I, we're in the business of farming. That's where we make our money, and off of the land and the crops that we grow there. The boundary between our property and the subject property measures approximately 7,500 feet. And we're hopeful that any future plans for this property, we hope that it will not affect our livelihood or the livelihood of our heirs. Mr. Chairman, I thank you for considering my comments.
Any questions of Mr. Davenport? Thanks, sir. Who's next?
James Burgess again.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'm just here to answer any questions, concerns that you may have. I'm in favor of it. I'm the site surveyor and helping them do some planning and stuff. And our main goal is future lateral expansion of the landfill. That's the whole reason we're here. And it does take quite a while to get studies and approvals from the state governments and stuff done. And anyway, I'll just start with any questions you may have if I can answer them.
Any questions from the board? Ms. Ward?
Just one question, because I've looked at this very closely. Why can the property that you already have, you know, under this zoning, why can't it be, it's not being used now? Can that not be developed for the future use? The only difference I see is that this property that you want to change from rural to general industrial is near what appears to be an exit to 264. I mean, in other words, you've got a piece of property that's almost the same size as what you're proposing that's already zoned industrial.
Well, I think part of it was the comprehensive land use plan where the county, the planning board, they have already decided that it should be used like rural or agricultural. We're trying to come into compliance with what they already have. And the site dynamics on the west side make it a much more productive site than the east side, you know, as far as your return on investment, I guess you would say, is the best way to describe that. And we just believe being further away from the road like that, it is just more suitable for us to do that. It just makes more sense for us to do that there in that area.
But that is, I mean, I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's what it appeared to me to be closer to, you know, the access to the road. And I'm kind of leaning towards the information related to the time. You know, when you don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years, or really what will be developed there. So I think that's going to have a large part to play in the decision that's made here today. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yes, I have one.
Sure.
My main concern was the time.
Right.
It got out, and I assume it's correct, 15 to 20 years before you anticipate doing something with this property pertaining to this project. Is that correct?
I'll let Mr. Whitehurst answer that question. I don't, you know, as a professional in the field and doing it, I can see where it would take possibly that long for everything to be complete. But I'm not sure how long it would actually take us by the time we started doing site studies and getting approvals, and what the time frame would be for that. But I'll let Mr. Whitehurst address that question.
Mr. White, you want to come up and?
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Good morning. I'm
Good morning,
Judson
sir.
Whitehurst, owner and operator of EJ Recycling. I'm just like any other business owner. I try to see as far as I can in the future and predict what I think is best for me and my company. The reason I stuck my neck out and bought all this property years ago was so I would not have to come up here and do what I'm doing now. We have already gone through a year of this, of trying to get this thing passed. And I have one landowner that's suggesting to me. Now, he's several acres afar from anything ever impacting him, ever. And what we're talking about, the prediction we're trying to make here, is anybody's children's children in this room will never see what will happen there 20 years from now. That's how slow the growth of this landfill is. But what we're trying to do is alleviate going back to Raleigh and going through all of that stuff again to protect and grow our business. If anybody's following me here, I may have gone too fast or gone off the record here. Did that answer your question? Mr.
No,
Jones?
I follow your business, but I'm like Commissioner Ward there. You already have 200 some acres there. That's a lot of land.
Yes, sir, it is. And
That's
you're-
there available. So
Yes.
it's not gonna hinder you as far as that your business is concerned. What I'm concerned with, 264. How far are you from the houses that are on 264 on the new, section that you are planning on rezoning?
further than we are now, and which would be
Well, I know the section you are now comes up to highway.
about 2,000 feet.
On that, but you have those homes, you're just putting the cleared land, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Because of
Sure.
course, I've been all over the place.
Yes, sir. Yes, you have.
And, but that's the main thing that I'm concerned with. I know you have to plan way ahead.
Yes, sir.
No question about that.
Yes, sir.
I'm not concerned about that, but I am concerned, I want people to get along with one another.
Yeah, me too. I
I
mean, yes,
really
Mr.
am,
Duff,
and I want, as I said in this motion, I want you to work together.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to do things to make enemies.
no, sir, no, we're not about that
And,
either.
well,
We
I
try
hope
to be
not.
good
But
neighbors.
I want you all, personally myself,
Yes, sir.
to take and to sit down. Have you talked to Mr. Davenport?
I set up 2 different occasions for Lawrence to come meet me and let's work something out, something he would be comfortable with.
Yeah.
And, I didn't get a response.
Well, I think we need to kind of work together and get things. Okay, I have not, but, that's some, you know, of course, I've been, you know, well, you know. I've
Yes,
been
sir,
on
I
it.
understand you completely.
But that
Mr.
is some good land. It is open for all possibilities.
Yes, sir, it is,
And
but.
I know that.
But with
But
that
And
said,
that's, we're talking about a lot of land.
yes, sir, we are. And with that said, aren't I gonna limit my possibilities if I leave it, zoned as it is? And was this not what you guys asked and wanted us to do? And I'm not trying to be contrary, I'm just
Yeah,
trying
I'm
to
not,
figure out where
I
I'm
didn't
headed
ask
here.
for, somebody else might have asked, but I haven't asked you to rezone it.
Okay.
I believe, as I said, working things out.
Yes, sir.
The reason I work so hard for planning and zoning is to protect the rights of the individuals, and that's the reason I like to see people get together and work them.
That's the same way we feel, and we would
All right,
really
I
like
have
to
no
do
further
that.
questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? You got anything else you want to say, Mr. White?
No, sir, I don't. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rhodes?
I'm good.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
Anyone else sign up to speak to this issue, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now we open the floor again. If any of those present that have not said so and desire to do so, come forward now, or we will declare this public hearing closed. Having said that, I declare the public hearing closed. Now, we reference back some to the number 1, which the planning board requested that we defer a vote on that until we had heard this. We've had 2 public hearings. Both of them have been closed. Now, what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I've already made the motion, I guess.
Try again.
Try again, and I feel that, well, anyway, this is what's good about this country. I move to postpone the rezoning of the zoning ordinance map amendment 2 and 3 until an agreement can be reached between the landowners in the area. And Mr. Chairman, may I explain that further, is that it was requested, and I'm not against, I think 2 is wonderful. But I understand them, they wanted, maybe if you don't pass one, you don't pass the other, and that's the reason that I said 2 and 3. That is my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. James, did you put a time frame on?
No, I did not put a time.
Would you consider that?
All right, but that is already on it. That's a county policy I have found out, that it will remain this way, and correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Attorney. It will remain this to give people 60 days, and then it will be coming back again. I think that's a county policy. Am I not right?
Within your rules of procedure, it says that if you defer consideration on a motion, that it would need to be reconsidered within, or brought back to the board within 60 days if action is to be
So
taken on it.
that is the thing, and I hope that things can be worked out in that amount of time. If they don't, we just come back and vote again.
What prompted my inquiries to that is Mr. White said he'd made overtures to have a meeting on this, and I believe he indicated that he had not received any response.
Anyway, that's my
understandable.
motion, and of
All
course,
right.
we'll talk about it.
You've heard the motion made by Mr. James. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that motion because, again, I agree with Mr. James that anytime we can get citizens to get together and work out issues so that both are reasonably satisfied, then I am totally supportive of that. So I second that motion.
Mr. Malone?
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Davenport, would that 60-day window be sufficient for you to, and Mr. Lawrence to get together with Ms. White?
I'm sure 60 days would get us.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
I'm curious, because I was at that planning board meeting when they had it, and I was impressed with how civil both parties were at the meeting, and they seemed to walk out the door friends. But I don't see anything having changed from then to now. I don't know that another 60 days is going to settle anything. I think that, you know, Mr. Whitehurst, he owns the land. Is that not correct? You own the land.
Yes, sir.
Should we not allow a man that's not asking something unreasonable to be able to do what he wants with his own land?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
The
sir.
thing that has changed, in my opinion, Tom, is that we are about to make a decision that is going to impact both of them. And I would like for them to have one last try to get together and work out the issues so they can walk out of the next meeting after we've made a decision, friends also.
Yeah.
That's my only reason for supporting this 60 days.
Mr. Garrett, should you finish? Anybody on this side that wants to speak now before I shift? All right, now, Mr. James.
I went through a lot on planning and zoning, as some of you know. And I did it because that I own some land. I did it because I was concerned as to what would be built next to me. I didn't want a dance hall or something right next to my home. I believed that I had to give up rights to my land to be able to take the rights and to protect myself. And I certainly, I know where Commissioner Colson is coming from. But I think to have an ordinance, and you got an ordinance here, an ordinance is something that a government makes to make things better for the citizens that we have here in this county. And I hope that we always consider what goes next on our land, because that determines the value of the property. It determines the value of your home as to where it is located and what it is surrounded by. And I feel very strongly in that. And that's the reason I went for planning and zoning in the rural areas. I wanted to make sure that you didn't have a dance hall next to a church and things such as that. That's all I have to say now, Mr. Chairman. Be quiet.
All right, we're ready to vote? All right, let's vote. All right, thank you. Mr. Manager, the next order of business is, I believe, the public address to the board.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any sign-ups for that?
Yes, sir, we have two people. We have Brenda Harris first, if she'll come forward.
Come around, Ms. Harris.
Well, I know how one-armed people feel now. Greetings, I'm Brenda Harris. My address is on file, and I broke my wrist in 3 places yesterday, so I'm not at my best. But I feel like it's important that we continue what we started. I want to call your attention to the Constitution. You can buy one at Barnes & Noble's. They're only about $15, folks. You need to go get you one. All right? These files that I have today represent some 300 deeds that our tax lady has stolen property in Pitt County. Some of them were from Jeff Niemeyer. Some of them were from Mac Manning. But over 76, our sheriff has had to carry through judgments when they were constitutionally incorrect. Now, I do have a list of all of them. I have profiled them out as to county and what municipalities. This week, the municipalities get a copy. 80% of those that have been foreclosed on people are minorities. They're heir properties. They're people that didn't get notices because of the corruption of the documents. Now, I'm on auction for August the 6th, and obviously I could have stopped it. It's for BHCO, but we're going to have a press conference that day. We're going to have an auction. You're not going to have a sale. But at that point in time, and right now, I take you to the oath of the Constitution, and this is what you declared. I, fill in your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and maintain the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent thereof, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as County Commissioners. So help me God. When you have 300 deeds that have been transferred, you have 300 people, and you have, what, 200,000 or 300,000 accounts that go back to unpaid taxes for 1998 and forward. In 1994, I believe that was when you had the embezzlement, and you had to just kind of wipe the slate clean because you didn't know jack about what you were doing, because you had leadership that didn't know what they were doing. Well, the problem of the matter is, on August the 22nd, our county attorney and our chairman at that time, Ward, heard in a meeting that I was in and 2 other people that are witnesses thereof, Scott Elliott say, we cannot collect from all the taxes. We have to go after the lowest hanging fruit. And then you call it case by case. I talked with Ms. Shires at the Department of Revenue. She's the attorney there. And I said, Ms. Shires, how can you care about what the values are? And you say that your department has nothing to do with the collections. I bring you back to the oath. In the Constitution of the North Carolina, Article 1, Section 19, it says the laws of the land.
That's it, Ms. Harris. You can come back at another date. That's the next order.
Mr. I appreciate it, and I
Thank you,
just want to
ma'am.
let you know that you're going in front of in front of the bar for violations of the oath. God bless you.
Next, we have Justin Whitehurst.
I thought we were done.
You've already
Okay,
spoken,
he's
Mr.
signed
White.
up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all who's formally signed up, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I believe you're next, Mr. Manager.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members, a few items to report to you quickly. Your next meeting dates, the month of August will be a regular schedule, first and third Monday of the month, August 4th and 18th at 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. respectively. Item B, would like to introduce Jan Elliott, if she'll come forward. Just stand up here in front of the TV monitor, Jan, if you would. The DSS board has hired Miss Elliott to be the new director of the agency of DSS, and we're of no relation to each other. This happens to be an Elliott with 2 L's and 2 T's, but Miss Elliott started, I think, July the 8th, and is here. She's got experience as a former director in 2 other counties and also as a regional consultant with the Department of Health and Human Services within the Division of Social Services, 2 counties, consulting with them and providing leadership and expertise to them. So we are very fortunate to have her. The DSS board is the agency and the county. So I just wanted to introduce her to you and allow you to give her a warm welcome.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you all so much, and I'm excited about being part of the Pitt County team. Look
Very
forward to
good.
getting to know each and every one of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
you know, I'm on the Social Service Board, and we are very, I think, fortunate in having her to come to be our director. We're expecting great things from her. We really are. And we thank you for coming to Pitt County.
Item C, Alice Keene District Park. Just want to give the board an update on this. Actually, they're going to be embarking upon a site plan update. They've received some funding from the CTG Community Transformation Grant funding to do this. Also, as part of this update, they would like to examine the former PCC greenhouse area adjacent to the district park. They would like to look at possibility of including that as part of the park. They're going to examine this as part of the update to the overall district park site plan, bring that back to you, propose some uses for it, and see if the board concurs with that, along with updating the district park plan itself. Item D is kind of related to that. The greenhouse that sits out there at the district park, this land adjacent to the district park, we are looking at donating the actual greenhouse that has a value of less than $5,000 to a Time for Science. They would come and take the greenhouse and pay for the cost of relocating it down to their facility down near Grifton. and just want the board to be aware that we were looking at that. But at this point in time, the county has no use for the greenhouse and would see that as a good use for them. Item E, on the Kimball Consulting Study for the radio and paging program or issue we have out there with the radios and the pagers, we are expecting the final study in this week. It's been somewhat delayed, and we are, however, the word we received this morning is that it should be in this week. The county engineer will be reviewing the study as well as myself, and then we will get it out to all the stakeholders ASAP thereafter. Just want to make sure there's no errors or mistakes in the study or anything that would need to be corrected. But at this point, we would anticipate on releasing what Kimball gives us straight back to all the stakeholders, both internal and external to the county. I have no indication as to what the results of the study are at this point. We have not been given anything at this point in time. So I just wanted you to be aware that would be forthcoming. We'll provide that to the board at the same time on that issue. Item F, our Public Information Office has received a second national award from the NACIO, the National Association of County Information Officers. And this is for an episode of Pitt County Review that they produced. We'd like to recognize them and congratulate them for the great work on that. Item G is a placeholder for the NACO conference, the National Association of Counties Conference was held in Louisiana. If Vice Chairman Webb or McLaughlin, either one would like to make any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We attended the conference, and I think the conference was very well attended. It had over 1,500 participants, and 500 more than it had last year. One of the interesting things, points, was that the impact of changing the tax-exempt status of municipal bonds and how that would affect counties across America. One other issue was the related safe and effective alternatives to incarceration of our youth. While being treated in community-based program rather than having our youth incarcerated, there was findings that this would certainly hamper or endanger our youth being incarcerated with violent offenders that will somehow corrupt them, but try to find some alternative-based community programs for nonviolent youth offenders. There was lesson learned from the disasters. 2/3 of our counties across America has experienced a federally declared disaster, and there was a lot of talk about how we as counties can come together to work and engage ourselves in securing funds for disasters among the counties. And then an employee wellness program is a very good return on our investment. I want to say that Pitt County certainly has taken a lead in this area in terms of working for our welfare and wellness program that we have implemented here in Pitt County. So that is a national move to have employees' wellness to be among helping to reduce our health care. And you can never beat the idea of networking. This program has afforded the opportunity for us to network, Len and I, that among some of the other participants from other counties across America. And so it enables us to get strong insight and to be ready to try to implement some of the ideas here in Pitt County. But I think Pitt County has really taken a lead in a lot of areas that was discussed at the conference. Thank you.
Also, Mr. Chairman, what you're going to see from counties now is counties focusing on infrastructure. The new president of NACO has made that his top priority, and you'll see counties take the lead in working with the federal government on infrastructure projects and rebuilding America and reinvesting in America. NACO is the only locally elected leader organization that represents every square inch of this country, and we have a voice in Washington. And on a personal note, I was honored by President Hokama being appointed the chairman of the Law Enforcement Subcommittee under our JPS committee, and we'll handle issues federally such as the Second Chance Act, mental health reinvestment, to try to prevent our local jails from becoming the new mental health treatment centers. I know that we spend a lot of money there, especially with the health and maintenance of prisoners, and trying to get those folks into proper treatment and to get them out of jails and off of our what we're paying for, as well as making their life a little better. But that's it.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a couple other things real quick. Just want to bring the board's attention to something from a legislative standpoint. There's a House bill being proposed in Raleigh. It's House Bill 1224. It's the local sales and tax for education / economic development. And basically, this would allow counties to, through referendum, assess up to 2 quarter-cent options. The first one could be used for education at 1/4 cent. Would require a referendum. The second would be another 1/4 cent, would be for economic development. And this has not been passed, but is in discussion. In talking with the State Association this morning, since we've already passed the first 1/4 cent sales tax that we had authorization years ago to do, according to David Thompson, who's the director for the Association of County Commissioners, if this were to go through, he thought that Pitt County, if it opted to take this before the voters, would be able to opt either for another 1/4 cent for education or a 1/4 cent for economic development. It's not really known if this is going to go anyplace, but it's one of the board to be aware. I think according to Mr. Thompson, they're trying to maybe get this into a study commission, maybe to get some more things fleshed out in it, but wanted you to be aware that was being proposed out there. Another item on your agenda, you've got under appointments, a request to appoint a new member for the Industrial Development Commission Board. We also have a written request from the Pitt Community College, who's asking for a permanent slot or designee for the community college. We've actually had another resignation from that board, so we may be able to indirectly accommodate that request. But you'll hear more on that coming up. Item J, as I'm calling it, is a good news item for our county attorney. Ms. Gallagher was awarded, distinguished, was designated the outstanding county attorney of North Carolina by the North Carolina Association of County Attorneys, and this happened last week at the County Attorneys Conference. We want to recognize her good work here in Pitt County, as well as she's also served as the president of that association. I believe she's past president currently this year. I'd like to congratulate her for that designation. And one last good news item that we've been received, and we've been told that the Candlewick Sanitary District that was created a number of years back for the purpose of seeking grant funding to provide sanitary sewer to alleviate some of their problems out there has been awarded, approved for CDBG funding, 100% funding. So that will be going into effect in sometime in the future as they work on that. The county will serve as the pass-through agent. The monies will come through the county and then will then be used to implement the sanitary sewer through the sanitary sewer district. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
All right, you said on the 1/4 cent sales tax pertaining to which adds up to how many millions?
Well, currently, the 1/4 cent sales tax brings in about $4 to $4.5 million.
All right, if we voted that in, could we lower our ad valorem taxes in proportion to what we get now? Or is there a ruling saying that we cannot?
I've quickly read through the legislation. There's nothing in there that says you cannot. It does say that you have to use it for specific things such as capital debt, teacher salaries.
Well, we're already doing that, of course, but I mean, what I'm interested in, and I know a lot of other people are, is holding our ad valorem taxes down, because as you know, 39% or approximately thereof of the citizens in Pitt County are the ones that have to pay this ad valorem taxes, all of that. And if we could lower that taxes down, then I think the people would support it. But if we're going to take that money, add right on to what we got, then I don't think it would have a change. But I believe it would if we could lower the ad valorem taxes. That's all I want to know, Mr. Chairman. Is there stipulations saying that you can't do that?
There's nothing in there that I know specifically, but just for a point of reference, currently there's the sales tax assessment on goods and services you buy in general is 6 3/4, unless the county has implemented the first 1/4 cent authorization that's out there. Pitt County has done that, so we have a 7% overall sales tax. 4 3/4 of that is remitted to the state. They keep 2 and 1 quarter comes back to Pitt County, 1 quarter being the quarter cent that you've designated for capital school construction for K through 12 and community college. This additional quarter would take it up to 7 and 1 quarter if authorization were to be given, if you were to decide to put this on a referendum, and if the voters were to vote it in.
Right. In other words, the state has changed their opinion. They're gonna let the counties take and do it now, and they not get all the sales taxes. That's the fight we had before with it.
Well, there's also some concern that the state may be pushing down some responsibilities to counties that we may not want, such as road construction, road maintenance. Also, even on the education standpoint, there's authorization in here to pay teachers' salaries. That is primarily a state responsibility. So even though they're giving you the authorization to raise those monies locally, it's really, both of those things are state responsibilities currently. That's some concern on that.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Booker?
Good morning.
Morning.
I have before you 2 reports today. One is the June year-ending collection report, and the other report is a synopsis of everything that we have done during the year. First, for the tax collection report, I would like to highlight on page 2 that the final collection rate was, for all categories, was 98.20, which is a 0.12 increase as far as a year ago today on there. Also on page 3, we have our highest match in the debt set-off program, and that was $567,324 on that. And that was another highlight for us on that report.
Do we have a motion to
I so
accept this?
move.
Second.
All right, let's vote. All right, move on. I believe you got another one?
I have the annual tax collection settlement for the year. And it is, we try to address every item that we work towards in that, and those are what brings us to the June total. We review all that we have done over the year. On page 2, where you will see the previous year's collection rate and the 98.20 being the highest, which placed us in the top 25% category for all counties in the state. Also, if you'll look on bottom of page 2 and 3, you have your averages of the collection rate of the enforceable prior years on there, and the average, taking all the 10 years before, and the average puts us at an uncollected tax levy of 0.53.
Ms. Booker, there's also on page 67 of the Commissioner's agenda packet, which is page 3 of 5, there is one correction on that table. It shows $8,017,077 in terms of remaining uncollected tax levy principal plus interest and fees. That should be $801,707. I think there was
And we have corrected that
Right.
in the Ames.
just want to make sure what the board had was
Yep,
the,
we didn't take the 10th
uncorrected.
of a percent. So the 10th is 801,707.72 versus the 8 million.
Anything else?
That's it.
Do we have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have a motion to approve the consent
I
agenda?
so move.
All right, let's vote. Okay.
We'll vote on your consent agenda. It took a minute for the other to clear out, please. Thank you.
Now we'll move on to items for discussion. At our last agenda meeting, Mr. Elliott and I were reviewing certain things that we have had in the past and some things that he and others felt that it should be for the future. And the concept of the county being a member of the chamber came up. As all of you know, I was at one time was personally adamantly against this, and for the reason that you probably recall, that I felt that the staff and the chamber had intervened in the school business when they should have stayed out. It was a situation where the school was a nonpartisan board, and the agenda appeared to be that it was a partisan matter, which the chamber undertook and kindly headed by some of their staff and some of their management. My opinion is that management and staff is no longer with the chamber, and there's been overtures from the chamber through Mr. Elliott, if I misquote you, correct me, Scott, but that that the commissioners rejoin the chamber membership. And I think that that would be a good idea personally, and I withdraw my previous objection. And I do stand by what the board did when they did it. I think they were accurate, they were right, means for it, justification for it, and no means and justification for what the chamber did. But having said that, I now would like for the board to weigh in on this and tell me what, Mr. Garris?
Mr. Chairman, I am totally supportive of us becoming a member again of the chamber. I personally, respectfully acknowledge your position before, but I was of the opposite position. I thought that we should have continued to remain a member. I would also like to suggest that we also join the chambers of our other municipalities, which I think would be Winnable, Ayden, and Farmville. I think it's important that we are members of those. I am individually a member of the Winnable Chamber, but I think the Pitt County Board of Commissioners should be members of those chambers also to, again, show our support for those municipalities also.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
No, is
That is a
Mr.
motion,
Gaines?
yes.
Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. Okay, now we move on to items for decision. Mr. Elliott, I believe
Yes.
you want to take the lead on that?
If Jan Elliott will come forward, please, and present this item.
Oh, I want to thank, before we do, I want to thank the board for agreeing with me and not Mr. Garris on that other issue. Go ahead, Mr. Elliott.
Okay, we have an in-home service contract that needs to be approved. We went out to bid for this contract and are recommending that Addis Healthcare be awarded the contract for in-home services. They were the low bid. They also, we looked at 3 other bidders in this process. They have been providing the in-home services for our agency during the last year. This was reviewed by our board, and they supported that recommendation. And so I stand here before you to see if you have any questions and, like I say, make that recommendation. And I can give you specific information.
Make a motion to concur with the staff recommendation.
Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Not, let's vote. All right. Up again?
Okay, I'll just stand right here. The next thing is, in the budget this year, the money was placed for a 50% attorney position. Unfortunately, the actual head count didn't change, so that's what I'm here to get the actual position.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Yes, sir. Sure.
On what Jimmy says, I want you to know, of course, Jimmy knows I was in opposition to him. I was with you 100%, and I hope this taught the chamber a lesson, to tend to their business and leave. I hope to help us in our work. Remember that.
And let me also say, since you brought that up, I was not the only one supportive of us remaining members, was I? Team members?
Must have been only 2 of us.
Jimmy, I'd
I
like to
name
say,
'em, too.
I'd like to say, had I been here, this had been a non-issue because we never would have left it.
3 of them. And
Thank you, Tom.
Republicans, too.
All right, what's
Spend
next?
money.
Next is item 3 from the Sheriff's Office, the Motorola upgrade for the Viper system, P25. If Sheriff Elks or John Chick will come forward for both.
And Mr. Chairman, if Mr. James would vote on the last social services matter, that'll clear your screen. Thank you.
I voted.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're looking to get the approval to go ahead and finalize the purchase of this equipment, which is required for the P25 console upgrade. The money was budgeted last year. We just was not able to get on the agenda quick enough to seek the approval. This is a required software hardware upgrade that everybody that is on a Viper system has to go through. Unfortunately, it wasn't rolled out until late in the year, and everybody involved is kind of at the 11th hour trying to get stuff approved. I know Greenville just got theirs done last week, I believe it was.
This is an item I would normally sign off on, but it's beyond my contract authority. I just want to make the comment that the P25 is a radio system that's the State Highway Patrol Viper system, which is totally different from the county's system that we're trying to get addressed and fixed at the current time, even though they do talk to each other, but it's entirely different.
Correct. In the 700 system, when they put that in bringing it in, they brought them up to the hardware, software where we're trying to get to. So they've already had it done.
Do we have a motion to approve this request?
Approval.
Second.
Let's vote. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more since we got the sheriff here. May I?
Yes, sir.
Comment? I would like very much, and it goes along this way, it was on television this morning about the sheriff, getting a lot of cash money pertaining to one of the vehicles that was taken here, I believe at Walmart or somewhere. Anyway, it was on television. But I would like for the manager and the sheriff to work together to come up with some system that as the department, whether it be the sheriff's department or whoever it might be, as they collect all of this money, that they get a certain percentage of it back to them. I think that we would get a lot more money, like we do for the county, for these people that do things to save the county money, they are rewarded. Why not reward the sheriff's department and these others money that they get out and work hard to take and to do? I believe that if you give them part of that money back, that they are going to take and be out there to get more. And I think we would make more money if we could do that. Is that, and since we have been, that's the reason I'm doing this, and I hope that you and he can work together, and or anybody else, whereas they can bring in money to the county and let them keep part of it.
Well, Commissioner James,
Percentage.
the
I
sheriff
know
can
you're
address this
looking
too,
at
but
it, but it's good.
100% of all these funds remain with the sheriff's department. They don't come back to the county.
Oh, they
in the
don't,
county
so
fund.
they get it all of this.
But they're also restricted to be used for law enforcement purposes.
Well, that's
And I
good.
don't know if that would be a eligible expense as Commissioner James is
Generally,
proposing.
under this situation, when we seize the money, it would be under asset forfeitures. And when you see sometimes where, I think it was on a consent item where we were asking for the to be able to receive state excise tax, $3,000 in the consent item, that was part of that process of getting that money back. There's certain ways we have to seize it under. Right off the top, the North Carolina revenue is going to get 25%. We get 75% of it. But in that particular situation, you have to divide the spending up in a piece of pie because we, along with like 6 or 7 other agencies, seize that money. So that money would be divided equally according to who the lead investigator was. We have a formula, we divide it up. A lot of that money does come back to us under forfeiture money.
So you're satisfied with that as to what the percentage that you're getting back and so
A
forth?
lot of that's dictated by law in that situation. There is some situations where we seize money, but by statute there again, it goes to the school board. Some of this gambling money we get goes back to the school board. We have tried to work out a deal with the district attorney that the sheriff's office budget at least gets reimbursed for the overtime and the money we spend in our investigations on that. We're just gonna see how that comes out. But most of the time, if we go out and seize money, it's under that reason by the state law dictates how the money is to be distributed. And we do get, if we were the only agency, we would get 75% of it back. One thing we've started doing, I've challenged our guys to be resourceful and try to find ways of getting other money that we can have. We have several $1 million on the books that people owe under asset forfeitures and tax warrants and stuff for drugs. Just the last 3 months, we seized over $30,000 in collection of that, and we'll get 25% of it. Depends on how we do it. If we sell like we seize vehicles, and if we sell them ourselves, we don't have to pay the state to sell them. So we started doing our own sheriff sales. We selling that. We've been very aggressive in trying to come up with our shortfall in our budget by the law allows us to go out and be able to do that. And give you another example, say 10 years ago, this person was arrested for drugs. The state taxed them $10,000 that you owe for not having a drug stamp at the time. So we're going back and collecting old money that's sitting out there on the books, kind of like the tax people do. We go out and collect old money. These people are now maybe living legitimately, running a business. We go up and knock on the door and say, you got 3 vehicles, they're paid for, you got $10,000 tax warrant on you. We're gonna take your cars or give us the $10,000, and more than likely they come up with the money. We collected $13,000 in the last 2 weeks off of people.
All right, so you're happy, that's okay then?
Yeah, we're doing good with that, and the law allows us that. It's,
Thank you, Sheriff. Don't tell him too much, he'll get it crisscrossed. Next, Mr. Manchin, you're next.
Next item, number 4 on the agenda, is the budget amendment for $171,450. This is a fund balance appropriation. As you recall, the last meeting, I told the board that the state of North Carolina had remitted back to all 100 counties the excess funds that they had used in the implementation of the new tax and tag program. For Pitt County, that was about $333,000, of which about $200,000 would come directly to Pitt County. The balance would be remitted to our municipalities for their pro rata share, as well as some of the volunteer fire departments. We're proposing as a follow-up to a discussion in the budget workshops for the new fiscal year, where we had talked about, currently, the county cannot offer merit pay because we have insufficient funds to put merit pay before the employees as they're evaluated for their performance through the PEP system, the Partners for Effective Performance. Last fiscal year, we did give them 16 hours of personal leave off if they met their PEP benchmarks in terms of their scores, depending upon where you are in the increment system of the pay plan. Right now, you have approved the 2 days off for full-time, 8 hours off for a part-time employee. Vice Chairman Webb had mentioned that looking at the possibility of giving the employees $150 as an option to the hours off. Since this money came in and we looked at the ability to present this to the employees, if you were to approve it as an either-or option, to either take the 2 days or to take the $150, it really became cumbersome in terms of being able to survey them to get it out. So we thought, actually, the $150, it made sense maybe to give them both, to say 2 days off plus $150 if you've met your benchmarks on your PEP scoring system under your job performance. The funds are now available through this remittance from the state of funds. So the recommendation is to provide and approve both for the employees and approve the budget amendment.
Do we have a motion to approve
I
this
so
budget
move.
amendment?
Second.
All right, ready? All right, Mr. Lee?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I come before you this morning asking that we look at the emergency services ordinance and actually update it to be more respectful to the 2012 general statutes that we do, basically calling it modernized North Carolina Emergency Management Act. Included in your packet, you did have the revisions, and this is almost a totally rewrite. I think that Janice would agree with us because she worked with us in going through this. That basically brings us from the civil defense days to where we are today. So, you know, I've got these for you, and I can read over these, and we can discuss them if you like, but basically it is bringing it to what the general statutes today are for emergency management. So with that, we're asking you, if you would, to follow basically what you do for all ordinances, but approve the revision to the Emergency Services Ordinance number 1, to rename it the Emergency Management Ordinance, and adopt the revisions ordinance as presented to you as Emergency Management Ordinance, and adopt the replacement pages in the code of our ordinances book and update historical data.
Do we have a motion for these 3 items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Let's vote.
Thank you very much.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, next is Scott.
Yes, this is an exception to the personnel ordinance being requested. This is in relation to the DSS board hiring the new director. And basically, the DSS board is making a request to credit Ms. Elliott with her prior years of service so that her leave earning rate would be that as if she had had those years on the books. And also to, I think that's actually to grant her 5 days of personal leave She was able to start the job immediately coming out of retirement, but she had some things in the month of July that she needed to take care of, some volunteer responsibilities, and the DSS board is recommending to go ahead and advance her 5 days of personal leave or vacation time to address those and take care of them.
Have a motion.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I second it.
Let's vote. All right, Phil?
Good morning. You have in your packets the request to approve 2 contracts for grass mowing and grounds maintenance services. We worked on this quite a while, and we think we've come up with a good solution to having our grounds maintained properly. The total cost is about $155,000. $131,000 of that is offset by personnel alone. We had retirements, and we're thinking one of our persons is going to transfer, so I didn't try to compute wear and tear on the equipment. I did look at the fuel, and that was about $8,000, so it's very close to the same cost when you look at everything, and we think we'll get a better job.
Do we have a motion to approve this?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question on this.
Do we have a motion? Then we'll have discussion. Is there a motion or?
Motion to approve.
I second it.
All right, now, Mr. Malone.
This contractor now, Phil, as far as the current employees that we have, are we going to secure them a position? Will their job be secured?
Yes, sir.
All right. How would that be in terms of, from this point on, we won't hire additional people in the maintenance department and in the grant?
Phil,
We
if I
had 2
can,
retirements, and one is looking to transfer to another department.
So
So there'll
Commissioner
be no
McLaughlin,
job losses related to that.
there's 5 positions, full-time positions on the books. Like Phil says, 2 are retiring, 1 is anticipated transferred to another department. The 2 remaining positions, or actually 2 employees were recognized for service awards this morning, 20-year employees. They will remain in the Buildings and Grounds Department, and we're not outsourcing all of the lawn mowing and shrubs and hedges operations. Those 2 employees will continue to have a portion of that work, as well as continue to work other jobs within the department. So what we've said is, if this is successful and we look at possibly outsourcing all of it, we would continue to carry those 2 employees, reassign them functions in the future. If we outsource this and we find that it's really not the quality that we need, want, or desire, we'll have those 3 positions of the 5 still on the books, and we could hire the people back and take back over this outsourcing. But as I put in my manager's comments, we have had great success with the outsourcing of the HVAC. We have we feel like we have contained cost. We feel like we are preventing long-term costs on the physical plan of the HVAC facilities of the county, and the comfort levels within the county's buildings, we believe, have been increased greatly through the outsourcing.
So these employees will maintain their current salary, the benefits would be the same? And
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Let me ask, all right, so $155,000. You're getting rid of 3 employees. When I say get rid of, I don't mean just fire them, but you was doing like Commissioner McGlowan said. All right, 3 employees, that's, are they making $50,000 a year?
When you take their base salary plus their benefits of retirement and health insurance and so forth, there's about a $20,000 difference, correct, Phil, between the value of those 3 positions and the value of this, but we feel that there's other factors, equipment replacement, what else do we have in there?
Fuel, that's pretty much.
You think, these people do a good job, I know, as I ride around, they're good employees, so you think these people are gonna do just as good, huh? All right.
Yes, sir.
If no further discussion, let's vote. All right, I believe Mr. Lees again.
Once again, Mr. Chairman, today coming before you to ask for a non-E franchise for Priority Medical Care Services. This company came to the Oversight Committee back in March of 2014 and presented an application. From there was a few questions that the Oversight Committee had, and we went back and forth with that company. We did continue on until July the 10th when the Oversight Committee voted to recommend the application be accepted for a non-E franchise for Priority Medical Care Services. If you approve that today, they cannot go in operations immediately. There's still some things that they need to do. They need to set up a point of location, and also their employees will have to be boarded by the medical director. I do have Derek Bond today here that is with Priority Medical Care Services, if you have any questions for him.
May I ask,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
how many companies do we have now that are doing this type of work in Pitt County?
Currently, there are 5 right now, Mr.
There are
Johnson.
5. Certainly, I support it because that's like competition. I moved it, we approved them.
Second. Made and second.
Can I ask just one question? At what time was our maximum number of this type of service in Pitt County?
Commissioner Ward, we had asked one time for a moratorium to be placed. It was never placed. It was
Okay.
always looked at as free enterprise. So
So-
that cap was never placed.
I know, I'm not looking for a cap, I'm just asking, what was the highest number? Did
The
we
highest
have
number we
6,
have is
7?
what we've got right now. I think
Okay,
it's
5, okay, I got you.
Okay.
All right, let's vote. Ms. Janice, I believe you're next.
Yes. And if you'll confirm that, we'll clear that out. Your next item is an electrical easement at Lake Forest Elementary School. Thank you. We have Matt Johnson here with the Board of Education. This is a matter that came before me on request that's contained in your materials to allow an electrical easement in favor of Greenville Utilities Commission so that they can continue to expand classroom space at Lake Forest Elementary School. If there are any particular projects about the project, Matt is here to answer those.
I move to be approved the request, Mr.
Second.
Chairman.
All right, ready to vote?
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. Scott,
Yes, sir. Item 10 is to select a voting delegate for the upcoming summer conference of the NCACC, North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. And I believe the clerk can tell us who's attending.
Commissioners McLaughlin, Ward, and Vice Chairman Webb are registered.
I nominate Ms. Wood.
I would really prefer not doing that if one of the other gentlemen would like to.
Melvin McLaughlin then.
But thank you for your support.
Second.
all right. Number 11,
Okay, number 11 is appointments to the Committee for Employment of People with Disabilities. You have a recommendation there to appoint Rachel Weber and Kevin Krischer to this committee. They will be filling in expired terms that will expire on February 15th, 2016.
have a motion,
So moved.
Second it.
vote. All right, number 12,
Number 12
Excuse me.
is the appointments to the Industrial Development Commission. As I had mentioned, well, the agenda abstract points out that Van Madre, who was the PC's representative, has resigned from the Development Commission Board, and that they're seeking a replacement. Also, like I mentioned in the manager's report, the community college has written, would like a permanent designation for the community college on the Development Commission Board. Technically, all of the spots are designated by the legislation that created the Development Commission back in the 50s. However, by policy, I think the board could designate a spot if you so choose, for a Development Commission board member. So you basically have the position for Van Madre, who's resigned, Jonathan Dawley, has resigned as well. We've received his resignation, so we actually have two different spots that are open.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Randy Walters to serve for the Madry, I guess, that's not the PCC thing. And I don't know if that's appropriate now, but I'd like for us to maybe wait until the next meeting to look more closely into the request from Pitt Community College.
Is that the feeling of the board?
Yes, I think that's good.
All right, so we've got one nomination, request to delay on the other. Ready to vote? Thank you.
Chairman.
Number 13.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say, though, in response to the request from PCC, I personally think that is very appropriate, but I think it's okay for us to wait and give us some time to think about it and pursue it at our next meeting. But quite frankly, I thought they already had a slot on the Development Commission board. They are a key player in economic development in this community, and I think that we need to have them as a permanent member, have a permanent slot on that board, but we'll discuss it at our next meeting.
You say they do not have one on there now, Jim?
They do not have a permanent
I got you,
slot,
okay.
but we always try to have
I thought we
a
had.
PPC
Right.
representative on there.
And I agree with that. I just want us to consider it. Thank you.
I think that's good. We need to meet with them and let
All
them go
right,
ahead and kind of pick one that they think would fit in.
Mr. Elliott?
Sure. Item number 13 is reappointments to the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, JCPC. They are recommending that Mona Williams and Jesse Hinton Jr. be reappointed for a 2-year term.
Mr. Chairman, as a member of that committee, I would like to recommend that these two be reappointed for a 2-year term.
Second.
All right, let's vote. Okay,
Eugene.
number 14.
Once again, Mr. Chairman, coming forward. Based on what we're coming today is asking that a liaison from the Board of Commissioners be appointed to attend the Fire and Chiefs Association meetings. Basically, these two organizations sometimes do not feel that their concerns are validly reported to you, and they feel by having a liaison that would happen. So basically what they're asking is they may not ask them to attend all meetings, but meetings that the president felt was important, and also to get the minutes of that meeting. So basically today, do have Samuel Jones, who is president of the Fire Association here, if you'd like to ask him any questions or if he'd like to speak.
Good, unless y'all have any questions for me.
Ms. James?
I want to know what progress has been made pertaining to the areas that complain about communication, the pages working, and things such as that, since you were the president.
Question directed to me.
Yes, direct to you or Mr. Lee, either one. You don't mind?
He can give you the technical.
Yeah,
That's what we
Mr. James, until we get that report back from Kimball, we will not know. And so we're waiting for that, as Scott reported earlier
Scott
today.
reported early on that, Eugene, but
He did.
he didn't
And-
give you the conclusion because he didn't have a report in.
As you recall, the county hired an independent consultant called Kimball to analyze the situation. And like I said, that final report is due this week, and once we get that, we hope to disseminate that as quickly as possible. And we'll, hopefully through that, we'll know what we need, how we need to address the issues with both the radio and the paging problems that have been identified.
Well, the reason I asked, of course, because we've got somebody here. Yeah, we're gonna see. Has it improved any? None so far. That's the reason I was concerned. I want to make sure that they take their time to come over here. We need to listen to them.
No fixes have been made to the system. The idea was to identify what needed to be done to address it first, and then to come back, because this is gonna take money. It's gonna, to fix it, more than likely.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like, because of his interest, for this position to nominate Mr. James. I recognize what, may happen in the next few months, but I think he would be a good liaison. And I would like for the most of us that serve as liaisons are members of local committees and boards. There's not hand-picked meetings that we attend. You know, any of the public meetings of that particular association or group, it's expected that the commissioner attend, and that way they get a fuller picture and a better understanding. Not like your executive board meetings and things like that, but your, you know, general meetings. So I'd like for that to be included.
All right, if there's no other nominations, let's vote. Got another job, Mr. James.
All right, I guess I need to stay busy, so.
Mr. Elliott, no, the next one is, Mr. Lee also then, isn't it?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Our current medical director has resigned, effective the end of this month, be moving to Richmond. Dr. Ted Delbridge, who is the chair of the ED department with Brody School of Medicine, they have appointed in the past or designated the medical director. Both the medical director currently we have, plus the assistant medical director is also leaving, so we're looking at some new faces. So basically what I'm doing today is to report to you that Robert Portella has been designated by the Brody School of Medicine as our next medical director. But to have him serve on the EMS Oversight Committee, I need to ask you to appoint him as a representative serving as the medical director.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to appoint.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Johnson to finish the last vote, and then you'll be able to vote on this one. Thank you.
Want to vote again, is that what you're saying?
Yes, please.
All right,
Thank you.
okay. Now I believe we've had a request for a closed session. Madam Attorney?
Yes, it has been suggested that this board go into closed session under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1 to prevent the disclosure of confidential information, and A3 pursuant to the attorney-client privilege to consult with an attorney employed by the public body in order to preserve that privilege. You'll just need a motion to go
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Not bad. Shorter than I thought.
Thank you. Now we're backing up in session. Mr. Webb, have you got something you want to say?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve as to the content only our closed session minutes for June 2nd, 2014.
Second.
Thank you. Any further business before the board at this time?
Move adjourned.
No, wait a minute.
You ain't gonna let me?
With comments, Mr. Gass?
Oh, that's all right.
Mr. McLaughlin? Dr. Johnson? Mr. Williams? Ms. Ward?
Yes, sir.
No comment.
No comment.
All right, now, Mr. James.
I move adjourned.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Go to 1 o'clock.
Yeah, now, but you.